Hey everybody, at home at Old Guy Hi-Fi channel. I hope everyone's doing well today. Today should be an interesting video. I've reviewed their products in the past. Today we're going to take a look at the TEAC AP507 stereo power amp. So do me a favor, sit back, relax, and we'll get going on this review. Well, if one is good, two is better. So what is the TEAC AP507? Well, by itself, it is a stereo amplifier. They sell for $2,500 each, so you're looking at $5,000 for the pair. I'll put specs up here, but the basics are 70 watts a channel into 8 ohms, 125 into 4 ohms, and 230 watts bridged in mono into an 8 ohm load. Now I will say, this is just my personal experience, I did run them with a lot of 4 ohm speakers, never had any problem, never had any heat issues, not an issue at all. They just don't publish a spec for that. As you can see, good frequency response, all of the bright stuff. It uses a really interesting, newly developed by TEAC and Hipex Encore X amplifier module, and TEAC tuned the sound to get the sound they wanted. It's not just an off-the-shelf product from Hipex, and I think that's kind of interesting. And again, we're going to look at the front, the back, and we're going to go digging around inside, and I'll show you that. Now, the 500 series, or reference 500 series as they call it, is a series of small footprint, small form factor, hi-fi gear. You know, there's DACs, there's preamps, there's headphone amps, there's phono preamps, all of that in a really space-friendly kind of compact design. Now, one of these all by themselves is quite good, and I used it that way, and we'll talk about when I test it. But it's a really nice unit, and again, having a specially tuned Hipex Encore amp module gives it a unique personality. Now, they are fully balanced, so when we look at the back, you'll see that really well laid out, kind of interesting. So let's do this. Let's go over to the bench. Let's look at the front, let's look at the back, we'll dig around inside, come back, I'll tell you how I tested them, a couple of songs that I used, and then I'll summarize and give you my final thoughts. Here we are looking at the front and back panel of the AP507. I'm going to go ahead and switch it on, and you'll notice that the meters will dim and bright in a sequence as it wakes up. Now, looking at the back panel, we've got our balanced inputs, our single-ended. We have a switch to choose which one we want to use. If we're going to do mono, we just use the left, and then we would choose the switch over here, stereo mode, biamp mode, or mono. We've got our 12-volt trigger, speaker input output, and IEC power socket. On the front of the unit, we've got the meters. Now, if you're running it in mono, both meters will be identical. If you're running it in stereo, each meter will show its representative channel, no problem. Now, the button on the front is a dimmer button, which just brings the brightness of the meters down just a little bit in case they're too bright in your room. And then, of course, we go off altogether and then full bright back on. And again, on-off switch. So that's looking at the front and back of the TEAC AP507s. Let's crack one open and look inside. Here we are looking at the AP507. We're going to start on the right, looking at the power supply. Now, this is a fully buffered power supply. It uses a large toroidal core transformer. It's a dual mono power rectifier design, so independent left and right channels, absolutely assures perfect channel separation. It also includes 18,800 microfarads of capacitance, so you've got some good power reserve, and additionally it uses Schottky barrier diodes that suppress rectification noise, which is actually a artifact of a switch mode power supply. So it's a very stable power supply, obviously designed to give this amplifier a ton of power. And because of that power supply, this amp can deliver 170 watts a channel in 8 ohms in stereo mode, or 350 watts in mono. Really, really powerful. So this is the actual amplifier side. It is TEAC's own custom, and it says right on the board, tuned by TEAC. TEAC worked with Hipex in the Netherlands to create this new Encore X module. Now, the advanced X generation delivers a much more immersive three-dimensional soundstage, a more expansive spatial presence, and at the heart, it's a dual mono Encore module. So really, really interesting in that regard. So as you can see, very well laid out, good power supply, really beautiful amp section on it, and I can vouch for its power in mono mode because that's how I've been running them. Anyway, let's button this up. We'll go back into the studio. I'll tell you what I thought about its sound and everything else. So I've had these around for a while, and it was very nice of TEAC to send me two. This is the way they displayed it at the Exponent show. So they were nice enough to send me two of these, plus the UD701 DAC preamp, which I did use, and you saw that in the B-roll. And that was a very good combination. And we'll talk about the UD701 in a separate video. I did use some other preamps with this. I did use the Rogue RP5, the Black Ice F360, and the Audible Illusions M3B. I also used, and I have it sitting back here, you can't see it, the Advanced Paris XP700 preamp. So I tried a bunch of different preamps, and the performance was very good. This amplifier is very clean and very neutral. Kind of, I hate to say it, but a bit typical of a Hypex Encore amplifier. Powerful, but a little bit cool sounding. And I think, too, that's probably the TEAC sound signature is a little bit cool sounding. The other amps that I've done from them, reviewed from them, the integrated I did recently, that also had a bit of a cool sound. It was a different Hypex Encore module, but again, it had a little bit of a cool sound. I fed it good signals. The UD701 DAC preamp, that's a really interesting, fully discrete Delta Sigma DAC in there. I did use that. I used my normal stuff. You guys are getting tired of me saying it, the Live Harmony. I used the Pegasus 2. I did use the Shanling SM 1.3T streamer DAC unit, and everything performed really, really well. This is a good unit. It had no trouble driving the big TAD ME1s. It had no trouble driving the CSS Crichton 3 TDXs. That's a pretty, I don't know if it's a difficult to drive speaker, but it rewards you. If you give it some power, it'll dance. And these had the power to do that. No question about it. So, again, my normal testing regimen, and I listened to them a lot. Quite a rewarding listen, and we'll talk about that in the summary. So anyway, let me go over a couple of tracks of music I used for this, and then we'll get out of here. So I'm just going to cover a couple of three tracks really quickly. We're not doing a deep dive into music because I'm trying to keep this review a bit shorter than is my typical wandering, rambling stuff. I used tracks off the Old Guy Hi-Fi Test Tracks Volume 1 playlist. There will be a link in the video description to both the title and Qobuz version of that. And I believe there's also a link in the Community Post playlist for this particular playlist as well. So the first track is Boz Scaggs, and it's a song called Thanks to You. And it is absolutely a wonderful song. Boz Scaggs' voice is just so amazing. I mean, he has been doing this. He started out in the late 60s with the Steve Miller Band, late 60s, early 70s with the Steve Miller Band. So he's not new to this, and his voice carries has that sound of experience, that sound of just absolute, comfortable in his own skin, a very expressive voice, the ability to convey emotion beautifully, just wonderful texture, tone. He's got a kind of a baritone-ish sound, but very deep and very resonant. And the way this is recorded is quite a good recording. There's not too much reverb on it. There's not a lot of EQ going on. I don't detect a lot of compression. Now, it is, I think, just a really good studio recording. So I think probably everybody was in a booth when they did their recordings, but it has a wonderful, very kind of immediacy to it. Really, really wonderful and rich sound. And so, again, Boz Scaggs, Thanks to You. Now let's talk about the next track. Well, for the next track, I went with a Hans Zimmer track off the album from the BBC series Planet Earth 3, and it's called Monarch Butterflies. And this is a really interesting, delicate, kind of very atmospheric track. When you listen to it, what you want to hear is this kind of the space around the notes. Again, it's trying to evoke a kind of sonic representation of how maybe a butterfly, flies, and when it lands, how it flaps its wings slowly and things like that. It's beautifully recorded. It is wonderful and rich and full of detail, and there's some good, really good kind of crescendos in it and climaxes in it. Just really beautiful. The whole album, this whole soundtrack for the television series is just absolutely beautiful, and it's, again, typical Hans Zimmer, very kind of electronic, very ambient, just wonderful to listen to. And you can listen into it deep, and you'll hear a lot of different things. There's a lot of instrumentation, a lot of different instruments being used, and each kind of has their own voice. And these amps had the ability to give you that that character and that sound very clearly, and I think with a lot of detail. So anyway, the next track I use is really interesting as well because I went in a different direction. So for the final track, I went with an old favorite, soul singer Bobby Womack, and it is an interesting song. It is a cover of the Mamas and Papas song called California Dreaming, and we all know that song. And actually, Diana Krall did a cover of it. I love this cover. It's very soulful. It's very kind of got a little funk in it. It's not that traditional kind of 60s pop like the Mamas and the Papas did, and obviously their version is terrific. Diana Krall's version's okay. I think it's over-recorded and overproduced, but this one just raw and very soulful, and Bobby Womack has this great voice, just deep and resonant, and he puts a lot of himself into his voice. I think there's good emotion, there's good texture. It's a very good recording given the era it was recorded in. I think the instrumentation is very good. There's not a lot of soundstage. It's kind of a narrower soundstage, but typical of the era of when this was recorded, but just a lot of fun to listen to. And I love Bobby Womack, and I love that soulful voice of his, and I love kind of the little bit of funk they add to this particular track. So anyway, those are the tracks I used for reviewing this. Let's summarize this, and then we'll get out of here. So the TEAC AP507. Well, these amplifiers definitely have the TEAC house sound, and the TEAC house sound, whether it's a TEAC product or an esoteric product, is absolutely squeaky clean, very detailed, and very neutral. They really don't have a lot of sonic character. Not as squeaky clean as like the Orchard Audio Star Crimson Ultra 500, whatever that was I did a while ago, what I called a straight wire with gain. These do have some character, but they tend to be very clean and very neutral. A lot's going to depend on what you pair them with. Now, I did use one of them as just a stereo amp, and I did use the UD701 to drive it, and that was a good combination. Again, neutral, clean, very detailed. Using the pair, I was running with the UD701, I was running the TAD ME1s. Now that is a very expensive, super hyper detailed, just studio monitor. It is totally 100% revealing. And with these and that and the 701, maybe too revealing. If there was a flaw in that recording, it's going to come slap you in the face. These just will reveal every problem in that recording, in that combination with the TADs. Now, when I used them with some of the tube preamplifiers, that smoothed things out a bit and made them obviously a little bit more listenable for me. And again, some of the tube, that lushness that the tubes will give you kind of smooth things out. Because again, I'm the warm, smooth guy, and that made it, it was still detailed. It was a little less neutral because there was some warmth from the preamp, but still had all the detail. And these are very agile amps. They're very dynamic. They can do well with big dynamic swings, not a problem. Now, with a solid state front end, I did use it with the Junsong, and I'll put the model number down here. I don't remember, the 30th anniversary of the new solid state preamp. That was too cool altogether. I used it with the Advanced Paris XP700. That's a solid state preamp, and that has, without question, the Advanced Paris house sound, which again is a bit warmer, still good detail, but a bit warmer, a little fuller sounding, and that was a really good combination with these. I tried it both just with one as a stereo amp and then both in mono. Paired up with the TADs, too much detail, I think, maybe, and that's just a combination of those speakers. They're that way to begin with. With the Crichtons, the CSS Crichtons, good combination, good deep bass. The Crichtons are a little bit rolled off on the top end. This brought some of that detail back in. Very rewarding to listen to. And again, a lot is synergy. With the Martin Logans, very good. The Martin Logans have a great bass response. They're very clean and detailed in the mid-range, but again, they have a bit of smoothness, and that was a good combination when paired with either the XP700 preamp or any of the 3 tube preamplifiers. So on their own, quite neutral, quite a bit cool, very detailed. If you love detail, this is a great amplifier for that, a really good amplifier with that. But a lot's going to depend on how you pair it up in the synergies. Now, TEAC does make preamp and DACs and things like that in this same footprint, which I think would be a good combination. And again, if you like detail, that'd be a great combination. So anyway, overall, I do like these. I think they're a little bit expensive, but they're well constructed. They are engineered meticulously, and that's just a TEAC trait. So it is what it is. I think they're quite good sounding. You got to be careful with pairing them up and finding that right synergy. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully be willing to give me a like and your subscription. I would be grateful for that. I'd like to take a moment to thank my channel members, my subscribers, and my viewers. You guys treat me so wonderfully, and that's great. There will be in the video description a link to the TEAC website, TEAC USA website. I have no affiliation with them, but there is additional details and information and specifications and all kinds of other stuff, marketing information at the website regarding these products. There will be a membership channel membership link in the pinned comment and in the video description if you'd like to support the channel that way. Also, too, if you're watching on a device or on your PC, there is a thank you button at the bottom of the video window over kind of on the left-hand side. If you wish to support the channel that way, I greatly appreciate that. There will be a link in the video description for both the Qobuz and Tidal versions of the Old Guy Hi-Fi Test Tracks playlist, Volume 1. There are some affiliate links in the video description. You guys know the drill on that. Please comment. Let me know your thoughts. Where are you at? This is not Fun-Fi stuff. This is above that level. This is not Fozzy Audio Duke, that, you know, that IEMA kind of stuff. This is on a way different category. Really well engineered, very well designed, and very audiophile, and I hate to use that term, but very high resolution, let's put it that way. Very good as far as that goes. So anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comment section, please. Please like, please subscribe, please comment, please follow me on Instagram if you are so inclined. That's everything I need to tell you about this. My name is Ed Homewood. This is the Old Guy Hi-Fi channel, and you know what I'm going to tell you next. Take a moment, put on some beautiful music, sit back, relax, and just enjoy the balance of your day. Thank you so much for your time. I'm grateful for it. I really hope you have a wonderful day.